Right. It's time I stop running. It's time I stop hiding. Well, I didn't expect to be here, but here we are. Put the lights. Much better. On October 17th, 2022, a 67-page Google Doc will be posted into the DDMC subreddit titled Savage Sentral and Team Red, Racism, Homophobia, and Transphobia. This expose centered around the actions of a former DDLC modder by the name of Magma, and uses guilt by association to paint both me and the members of Team Red Mazda, which was the group that Magma was a part of at the time, in the worst light possible. The result of which ended with both me and Magma banned from the DDMC, as well as the complete dissolvement of TRM just a few days later. The first thing that me and everybody else involved in this hit piece did was to find out who was the one who made it. And every sign pointed to one specific person. The most infamous non-pedo in the entire DDMC. The one, the only. She's a vindictive, terminally online bitch that has created enough controversies to last most communities a lifetime. Having been banned from the DDMC countless times, but yet refusing to truly be silenced by creating an army of alt accounts spanning across Reddit, Discord, and even YouTube. Rose has been leading moral crusades and spreading lies against people in this community for years now, and isn't going to be stopping anytime soon. And since that's the case, it's time for someone to truly expose all that Rose has done. And so, comrades, I present to you the never-ending warpath of the DDMC's biggest bully. Not much is known about Rose's early days in the DDMC, although one thing is for certain is that she is the same person back over 4 years ago as she is now. However, this side of her wasn't on public display when she first joined. At first, Rose just seemed like another teenage social outcast trying to fit in. She was starting off innocently enough by joining Ultra's team to work on writing for Doki Doki Encore. She would shortly after try making a lot of her own and attempted to recruit people to help her, but that didn't go anywhere and it seemed to be cancelled very early on in development. It all seemed well and good for about a few months, since that's how long it took for her to get into her first drama. Rose, as I stated, would begin her time at the DDMC by working on the development of Encore as a writer. Encore's creator, Ultra, and Rose would meet in the Exit Music server back during the summer of 2018, and they would strike up a bit of a friendship. When Ultra decided to create Encore, he would recruit people from the Exit Music server to help him with the development, and Rose was one of them. She would be tasked with writing for a moniker route for the mod. Things were fine at first, but over time, Rose's flaws would become apparent. Her writing was subpar at best, and after a few months, she was let go from the team with very little of her work making it into the final product. Let's just say that she didn't take this very well. She got so bent out of shape about it that she would take to Reddit to expose Ultra for being a terrible person. However, Ultra would tip off the mods that something like this was gonna happen, and that post got basically instantly nuked. So yeah, Rose swung and missed and got clowned on for it. However, if you think that this is where this story ends, then you don't know Rose. About a year would pass and Ultra, Spaghetto, Pobot, and a few others would create an alternate modding hub, a website called DDLCmods.com. Ultra was in charge of moderating the Discord server for it. And it's during this time that Rose would join the Discord under an alt and try to start drama with Poba, who's definitely worthy of his own video, but we'll save that for another time. She would be banned pretty quickly and in her appeal tried to argue that Poba and Ultra were transphobic as her reason for starting shit. Yes, she tried to argue in her appeal that Ultra was transphobic to Ultra himself.
You see that? That's a stupid bitch.
Let's just say that that didn't end up going anywhere. But this is also not where this story ends. There's even more. This is where Wretched Team gets introduced to the story. Yes, that Wretched Team, the creators of Exit Music Redux, would be founded in early 2020, with Rose being one of the initial members to join. She would go on to be one of the 7 writers credited on EMR, giving me yet another reason to hate that mod, but I digress. Shortly after Wretched Team's founding, Ultra would strike up a partnership with them where they would promote each other's websites. Remember that Ultra was one of the owners of DDLCmods.com at the time. A few months would pass and everything was a-okay. At this time, the creator of the greatest mod of all time, Exit Music, began talking about her grievances with Ultra to her, specifically the transphobia allegations from earlier. Penny, being trans herself, would rightfully be upset by this and would quickly terminate the partnership between Wretched Team and DDLC Mods. Penny would ghost Ultra, not providing any reason for the termination. However, Ultra would be tipped off that it was potentially Rose that was the reason. He would reach out to her, and this is the convo they had. When you got a minute, can we talk? Sure, what's up? So in case you aren't aware, for whatever reason, Lucy decided to abruptly end our partnership. She's essentially been dodging me for a few days now, and I've come across some evidence that she's mad about my past fights with you. I wanted to see if that was really the issue. She's dodging? I think, for my sake. Look, I don't harbor any hate for you, that much is true. That said, the stuff that was said and happened were still real and were ultimately why I left the team. I didn't feel safe or uncomfortable being partnered with DDM due to conduct as well as past problems. I'm not entirely sure why they decided to terminate the partnership, though I can assume it was likely because of me. So I apologize that I was likely a factor. Well, I don't blame you for anything, but it's good to know you didn't suddenly pressure Lucy to have a change of heart. I can't guarantee one way or another her motives. I left the team hoping it'd mean this didn't happen, but I apologize for it happening regardless. I also apologize for holding it against you and still in some form. I mean, I thought we both apologized for the shit that happened and moved on. We did, it's just that, to some degree, it's always gonna be near impossible to look past the guy I saw as a mentor essentially rip into me. Look, I know we both said some really messed up shit to each other, and for what it's worth, I was never ever trying to be transphobic to you. I'm also not transphobic, just trying to make that patently clear. The whole thing with that was that I was, at the time, genuinely unsure of what you identified as. So I did, for that moment, refer to you as it, if I remember the event in question correctly. Now, that doesn't make what I said right or anything. Referring to people as objects is a fucked up thing to do. I wasn't really sure what you identified as until I find out you identified as female. I don't obviously appreciate some of the stuff you said to me. Comparing me to Hitler is a bit of a stretch. I don't hold it against you, and I don't let past trauma weigh me down. I don't hold it against you. I haven't since we both apologized. So I do apologize and take back what I said to you all those times ago, but again, I really was under the impression that the matter was settled, and I don't know why it's suddenly resurfacing now. It's just holding against and being okay with are hugely different things. It shouldn't have resurfaced, hence I left the team quietly and didn't complain. I thought you left for other reasons. I don't want it to seem like I was blaming you. I mean, you could have approached me if you were really still bothered by all that. I would have been happy to talk about it with you. Is Lucy still trying to get you back on Wretched Team? I have no idea. I don't think so, since she hasn't approached or asked about it, and I generally don't think there had been much to talk about or fix. It's primarily a me problem. But for what it's worth, I'm sorry that I wronged you and came across as something I'm not, if that helps you find closure. I apologize I cost you a partnership. It wasn't what I was hoping for, but that's just how things turned out, unfortunately. I don't think you're responsible. I'm starting to get the vibe that this was all Lucy's idea, and if that's true, then my issue is with her. So I don't hold any of this against you, but if you're able to get Lucy to talk to me, I'd be appreciative. This would be the last time that Rose and Ultra would ever interact, but this isn't the end of Rose's story. This is just the beginning. And before we move on to the next chapter of this wild tale, I have one more quick story to share with y'all. Doki Doki After School is a mod that's been in development hell for well over 3 years now. Penny was the brainchild behind it, and in 2019 would essentially abandon the mod.
Trash!
Spaghetto would bring up the idea to take on After School since no one was working on it. Rose would find out and would DM Ultra and start malding and seething about this. Your anger at Spaghetto is hardly justified. I mean, yeah, it is, but go off. This is the Burke and Harem DDLC, to be honest. Oh, you're so petulant. You did nothing for After School, and you hardly did anything of value for Encore. You have no right to be angry at us. All you've done is sit and complain, and if that's what you want to do, you now have the opportunity. Because you were shit at giving people chances and demanded I work off of one bare minimum idea and had one chance to get it right. Oh, I've given you plenty of chances. Why else would I have dragged you back after all those meltdowns you had? You're not only petulant, but ungrateful. Goodbye, Rose. By dragged after chances, you mean ask me to come back after I had a mental breakdown? You're the ungrateful one. I'll let you do what you do best. Fume and complain. It was the only thing you were ever good at. Sure. Whatever you say. And if you look at the dates at where this scuffle took place, it took place just one day after she was fired. Now that's comedy. The Wretched Team era can be defined by drama and controversy. As I presented in the Encore segment, Rose was a member of Wretched Team from the very beginning and had a personal relationship with its founder, Penny Norton, thus giving her preferential treatment. However, Rose's toxic personality would wear out her welcome with some of the members of the team over time. This would stay mostly behind the scenes and out of the public view though. That is, until December 20th, 2021. On this day, Crux, a former disgruntled member of Wretched Team, would go to Reddit to post an expose of the team and the conduct of some of its members, specifically Flacium, Q, Surrey, and Rose. While the post mostly just focuses on how Wretched Team were a bunch of hypocrites for participating and cultivating drama when their image is one of a team that doesn't like drama, as well as how some of the members are assholes, etc., nothing really to write home about. But there are mentions of two specific dramas that I want to highlight today, that being the Illy controversy and the Harem Club shit show. I'm gonna need a lot more of that. Our first drama to take place chronologically in the Wretched Team era is the cancellation of Illyriah Rose. Now, in order for you to have any idea what I'm talking about, I'm gonna have to give you a quick rundown of who Illy is. Illyriah Rose, better known as Illy, is a 36-year-old Twitch streamer who primarily focuses on DDLC mods and has been doing so ever since 2020. She would, during this time, become the lead dev of a Yuri-focused mod called The Bond We Share, and also attempt to create an afterstory mod called Lila Afterstory, based on an OC of hers. During her peak in the DDMC, Illy was well liked by the casuals, i.e. the people who spend 5 minutes a day on the subreddit and go absolutely no further. She would be able to form a very small but very loyal community that still follows her to this day. While everything seemed to be all sunshines and rainbows on the surface, behind the scenes there was drama so insane happening you would think you were watching an episode of the Jerry Springer Show. But this is not actually why Illy was cancelled. This is where Throwaway Doki Fan comes in. This Reddit account would make a now deleted post on November 9th, 2021 to the subreddit called Let's Talk About Illy Again. Now you most likely put together whose throwaway account this is, but let's just play along anyways. Throwaway Doki fan would make 4 serious claims in this post. 1. Illy forging inappropriate relationships with minors. I found that she was fostering a relationship of an inappropriate nature between her and a 17-year-old fan. 2. Illy making an inappropriate drunken comment to a 14-year-old. In a non-DDLC related server, she was warned privately about engaging in flirting with a 14-year-old while apparently under the influence of alcohol. 3. Minors, including her own son, playtested Lila Afterstory in 18+ mod. Lila Afterstory itself has some allegations surrounding it. In specific, the quality assurance testers, 2 of which seemingly under 18 for a majority of the mod's demo. One who Illy claims to be her own son, who she herself claims is underage. 4. Illy roleplays as her OC Lila and has sexually charged roleplays with minors. She also says she roleplays as Lila and likes to fantasize about BDSM, pretending to be an 18-year-old. Well, with accusations as serious as child grooming, there better be some damning evidence. Well, we're in luck as throwaway Doki fan would leave a link to an Immigrant album that has all the evidence. Let's take a look, shall we? Wait, that's it? That's it? This wouldn't even hold up in an Ace Attorney courtroom, much less a real one. If this is child grooming, then the queen is still alive and kicking. Okay, so there wasn't any sufficient evidence of child grooming. That should have been the end of that, right? Wrong. You see, this is the DDMC we're talking about. People actually bought this and spread this around everywhere and treated it like it was gospel. Illy's public reputation as a result of this was instantly ruined and she was excommunicated and as of December 26, 2022, officially banned from the DDMC. A few weeks later, on November 25th, Illy would drop her own response to the allegations, providing way more evidence against Throwaway Doki fans' claims than they provided in the first place. While not a perfect response, after reading it, it just reaffirmed my stance that Illy isn't a child groomer, but instead just a moron. That may be a bit harsh, but I would personally rather be called stupid 1,000 times over for doing something stupid than be labeled as something as damning as a groomer. You know, it kinda reminds me of a certain soil stealer now that I think about it. Remember the 4 points that I brought up that were used against Illy? Well, number 2 is the one I want to talk about since it is the strongest point for arguing that Illy is a groomer. Let's travel back 11 months from when this post was originally made to, ironically enough, December 26th, 2020. On this night, Illy, along with a 14-year-old girl and a few others, were all in a VC together in a non-DDLC related server. Calm Strike was playing through the bond we share. Illy decided it was a great idea to take a drink every time an error was spotted. While this was going on, the 14-year-old girl decided to turn on her webcam, in which Illy decided to call them fucking beautiful. Illy claims to this day that she didn't know at the time that she was 14. Illy would soon after apologize to the 14-year-old for making that comment, and she accepted it. So why would this drama that was settled almost a full year earlier get brought back up a year later in a hit piece? Well, let me tell you. Meet Chow. Chow was a member of Wretched Team, and hey, would you look at that? Another one of the 7 writers of EMR. Chow and Illy were together for some time and somewhere during 2021 would break up. To say that Chow hated Illy would be the understatement of the century. He despised her and would continue harboring these feelings for months afterwards, eventually deciding to go full scorched earth and ruin her once and for all. Yes, Zhao was the mastermind behind Illy's cancellation. Don't believe me? Here's him admitting it. Alright, I'll come clean about something. I didn't just join Illy's server for shits and giggles. I had a moment of weakness, and despite how much I made her to be the bad guy, I miss her sometimes. I'll be honest, all the shit I say about her being a monster and whatnot, it's a cope. I need to think of her that way, because it's the only way I can rationalize what happened. I did terrible things. I ruined her reputation. Okay, so Zhao ruined Illy's reputation. But where does Rose come into the picture? Well, Zhao and Rose were both in Redacted team, and both worked on EMR, meaning that the two of them talked before Zhao wanted to take his revenge on Illy. Now I want to preface that what I'm about to say is just a theory and hasn't been 100% confirmed, but when you look at the bigger picture, it definitely holds a lot of weight. Rose wouldn't just stumble onto the Illy case like she claimed, but instead collaborated with Zhao. Since Zhao, in his own words, wanted to go full scorched earth on Illy, he would go to the one person who had a history of attempting to ruin people's reputations, that being Rose. Zhao would hand her some semi-incriminating screenshots and tell her to go to town, thus resulting in the "Let's Talk About Illy" Reddit post and the end of Illy's time in the DDMC. Illy would be the first to be successfully cancelled by Rose, inflating her ego even further and making her seem untouchable, especially with Redacted team in her corner at all times. Illy has her demons for sure and is far from a perfect human being. She's had her struggles with alcoholism and drug abuse, and from the limited interactions that I've personally had with her, it seems like she's made an attempt to change and better her life. Now, I've been around drugs and alcohol my entire life. I've lost many of my own to it, and cutting that shit is the hardest thing that any addict can do. So, just for that, Illy, you have my full respect. Don't make me regret giving it to you. I just want to say before continuing to not go and harass Zhao for what he did, he's acknowledged that ruining Illy's reputation was a mistake and just wants to leave it in the past. Rose is the one that is still perpetuating these lies to this day, with absolutely zero guilt, and is the one that should be held accountable. Illy had a lot of things that Rose could have attempted to cancel her for, but instead she decided to spread the lie of Illy being a rumor and presented it as fact. That is something I don't condone at all. Just like how I defended Logo Cause, I'll defend Illy as well as anyone else who gets labeled with something so heinous. While I was in the middle of editing this, Illy would drop this message into her Discord server, which, I mean, I understand it's another wall of text. I'm not going to read all of it, but, you know, it's on screen. You feel free to pause it and read it for yourself if you want. But the TLDR is, it's just Illy reflecting on herself, acknowledging that she has flaws and has been making an attempt to better herself. And, you know, the first step to, you know, fixing a problem is acknowledging that you have one. And, well, as I said before, you know, Illy has been taking steps to improve her life. Is she all the way there yet? No. It takes a very long time to truly fix yourself. But this also coincides with the main theme of this entire video: redemption. Rose is someone that, instead of choosing to help their fellow man, would instead choose to destroy him. And this video in a way is made to say that the world isn't as black and white as Rose makes it out to be. And I know a lot of people hate Illy. I've seen it myself. Like, really hate her. And I know for a fact that I'm not going to change any of their minds, but to anyone out there that is on the fence about her or really doesn't even know about her until this video, I would say, give her a chance. I feel like that's at least what most people on this planet deserve, is a chance, or a second chance. Maybe not a third chance or a fourth chance, but at least a second. So Illy, I'm rooting for you. As I said before, do not make me or anybody else who has put their faith in you regret it. So how's that for a turnabout? However, This next story is where Rose goes from snake to certified clown status. The Harem Club drama is one of the biggest embarrassments in the history of the DDMC. Let me explain. Doki Doki Harem Club was a mod that was being developed by Aqua Onion, who goes by Vault Keeper now, and his team, appropriately named Team Onion. It was first announced on the subreddit on October 20th, 2021, and was said to be the first primarily NSFW mod ever made. It wasn't just gonna be a mod with a couple of sex scenes in it, it was going to be an Igo's Roar video made into reality. No, seriously, Igo's Roar was listed as the inspiration for this mod, so you have him and his clickbaity glory to thank for this. The post was received very well, and it garnered over 300 upvotes and dozens of comments of people excited for what this mod could become. With an overwhelming amount of support by the community, the team would get to work on making the greatest shitpost mod ever made. There was just one very teeny tiny issue though. The mod was being worked on by a bunch of minors.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
This does raise a moral dilemma that an 18+ mod is being made by a bunch of kids. Now, a normal person's response to this would be to just not give a shit, because at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of pixels on screen and it's not hurting anyone. But you gotta remember that this is the DDMC we're talking about, and when people found out that the team was entirely consisted of minors, people lost their fucking minds. This would lead to a witch hunt to get the mod cancelled and the creators banned from the DDMC. The leaders of this moral crusade were none other than Flassium and Rose. Flass and Rose would make it their mission to see that Harem Club got cancelled and to make the creators' lives a living hell, with Flass being the one to try and get them banned. Rose would just badger them whenever she got the chance, and here's one of those encounters in the wild. Imagine shunning kids for expressing themselves. It's not that, kiddo. /seriousness, in case not contextual. It's illegal to publish that. Alright. I'm not even gonna. Goodbye, chat. We commit crime. Nah, the crime is committed by the publisher. Imagine shunning kids for knowing what a cock and a vagina looks like. They can't publish it because laws or morals, right? Usually, yes. Let's just, as an adult, yeah. No, because laws. Yeah, because slavery wasn't legal when that happened. Slavery was legal because of corrupt governments who wanted to mess with people. Neither was the Holocaust. Comparing slavery to kids not being allowed to make content they can't actually mentally comprehend is whoa. Can't mentally comprehend? Yeah, you can't. You literally fled a Discord VC because people joined. Because I haven't fucked anyone before. Sure, let's act like that's the case, bruh. You expect us to believe you're mature enough to do and actually understand the ramifications? Yep. I like us. I'm no different than you, asshole. Oh, wait. I mean, you are, but sure. Anyways, backing off. I'm smarter. True. Yay, no more arguments. Quillin, they can't be reasoned with, Lamau. Quillin. Hey, I'ma tell it how I see it. The melting pot has been stirred. Hey, bestie. Rosaline, how old are you exactly? Wait, yeah. How do I know you aren't younger than me? 19 turning 20. What? So definitely older. You can't say shit. Well, yes, I can. I'm an adult. You still in your teens, dumb fuck. You can't say shit for fuck, Lamau. I can't with you assholes. Versus what? 14? 13? 5. Huge difference, man. 3. Rose, actually knock it off. Why? If they're gonna act goofy. I'm serious. Fit step it up? What? They get the right to act goofy. Okay, only time I'm gonna agree with Fit. He's alright, you know. Same. Just knock it off, please. Oh, it's dumb. If it's dumb, then step away. Personal responsibility and all. They're nearly an adult being shitty to minors? Exactly. That's really sad. If they're gonna claim they can make that
content, then surely the burden of responsibility for their behavior falls on them.
Imagine being an adult who can't mention sex. That content. Can't even bring it up.
I refrain because there's kids around. It's called manners, dude.
You just called it that content. We know what sex is. It's not like we're gonna start crying. It's gonna try to be the bigger person, but you aren't.
Yeah, no shit, but you clearly not mature enough to discuss it, so...
Bro, neither are you, bro. And you are?
Yeah?
So, then fucking prove it. Considering my particular drama with certain people here, I'd rather not be involved, but as a moderator here, I have to say, either respect each other when you talk, or stop talking.
Bruh, how do you want me to prove it? Oh, hi, Harry.
Okay, thank you, Harry.
Anyways, yeah, I'm a step away from text here.
Bro, stop, please. I mean it. I want you to know that that entire argument happened 4 days after the mod was cancelled. Yeah, Aqua Onion announced 4 days prior on the 24th that the mod was being discontinued due to the drama that this had caused. Yet Rose and Flash still had to show up and bully a bunch of kids and justifying it as doing their moral duty. One of the ways that Rose tries to justify what she did is her claiming that there were adults working on the mod as well. If this was true, then Harem Club needed to be shut down since minors would actually be in danger. The only problem is that this was completely made up. The members of the team, including Aqua himself, have gone on record multiple times to say that not a single adult was involved in the making of Harem Club. So it wasn't enough to rally a crusade over teenagers being teenagers and admittedly doing something stupid, but then to go as far as to make shit up to make sure that the mod never sees the light of day. That's just a whole nother level of pettiness, man. In hindsight, this entire clown show made everyone in the end look worse. I want to show you this comment that Retro made under the post that Aqua made announcing the end of DDHC, since I feel like it perfectly encapsulates just the level of delusion some of these people had.
I'm truly at a loss of words for the horrific reasoning being put on display here. Look, I'm sorry that you guys got blasted and all, but you clearly seem to be unaware of the fact that this was something you shouldn't have been doing in the first place. Saying all that stuff about it being okay due to development reasons makes absolutely no sense. Just because you're becoming an adult does not mean getting involved in stuff like this is okay. What people your age should be doing is learning about things like reproduction, sure, but also how to remain chaste and understand that certain things are not meant for your eyes until you are at an age where you can truly be able to be involved with that sort of thing without corrupting your mind. It seems, however, there was a push to ignore this, and that's beyond saddening to see. Saying this was a harmless project is completely false if you really do somehow see it that way, since that means you've grown so insensitive to the concept that you thought it was okay to literally fill a mod with NSFW and publish it publicly. Just because you couldn't be stopped in no way means it was okay. It was an okay thing to do, nor did it mean no one was going to have a severe problem with it. Sure, it is a human and natural thing. Not much to really do about that, but does that really make it okay in the long run? If it did, would people have really found issue with this whole thing? Personally speaking, I doubt there would have been any opposition if that was the case. Since there has been, though, that doesn't make it right, nor really feasible, to try to use that as a justification now. All in all, I will say certain people involved did take it too far with being vigilant and whatnot, but you kids have also transgressed boundaries you never should have. Are you being bad people by doing this? No, of course not. However, you still have much to learn regarding what is and isn't okay to be dealing with at this current time. Ideally hope and pray you learn a lesson with this, and that you'll grow up to be more wise regarding the fact that you should have never been seeing things you were never meant to see yet. In short, even if you were doing no harm, you potentially were to yourselves without realizing. Maybe give it a few years until you're older. I wish you the best. Note, what is said here does not reflect the views of anyone in the DDMC staff, only mine. Please do not view it as a former.
After the cancellation of Harem Club, Encore would go silent for nearly a year. But on December 15th, 2022, he would come back to make a post that would shine a whole new light on this debacle. The people who we met through this mod were the worst people we have ever met before. I'm serious. When we knew them at the time, they were all fine and dandy, but by God, after this project felt this shit, they became the most stuck-up, petty people you will ever meet. All just because we were children. Still makes no sense to me why these people acted this way. How could they just turn on us so quickly? Not only that, but these same people were turning what was supposed to be a joke mod into something that eventually became a mod with 20 different endings and tried to make it as high quality as Redux. It wasn't only that, but the fact that they were constantly trying to get me to work on the mod, turning into something that I had to make myself do every day when I originally worked on it about twice a week. Encore would go on to state that the cancellation of Harem Club was the best thing that could have happened to him, and I have to agree with him. What's the point of slaving away for months on a joke mod that maybe a few thousand people would play? There are much better things to be doing with your life, and I feel like that's the main takeaway from all of this. This entire drama was the result of a bunch of fully grown adults with no lives feeling the need to interject themselves into the lives of a bunch of minors and dictate what they can and can't do, when in reality, what they were doing wasn't harming anybody. Welcome to the DDMC, everybody, where no one has any common sense and the clowns make themselves. Yo, Future Savage here, and I just kind of wanted to hop on in here, give a little intermission to the video, and basically give a little bit more context behind, this situation, as well as kind of the kids involved in this, because while I did a good job of painting Rose and Flash as a bunch of assholes, which, to be frank, they kind of are, it's like the two kids that were involved with the creation of Harem Club in this situation, at least after the fact, kind of proved to be kind of mini Roses in a way. Let me explain. Aqua Onion / Vault Keeper, whatever you want to fucking call him now, whatever name he's going by these days, and Emo Quack have kind of built up a reputation of being people that would just label anybody a pedophile for the most asinine of reasons. For example, okay, this one's a pretty epic one. You gotta like it when Aqua Onion is coming into my comments under, I believe it was the Amanita video? It might have been the Amanita video, really. But, I think it was the Amanita video. So, Aqua Onion comes into my comments on the Amanita video is like, yo, Jay's a fucking pedophile, you gotta cancel him! And I'm like, wait, really? Because, I've watched the new streams, I've talked with the guy a bit, doesn't seem like a bad guy to me. So, he would release this doc, right? Or this, text document, not like a formal Google document. It was a text document, and it was like Rose tier level of bad, really. It pretty much was like, okay, so, it's like, he got my sister, who is 11 years old, into, a group chat. And they went on stream. And they played DDLC mods together. And the crazy part is, she did a Natsuki voice. Oh my gosh. Cancel him. He's a pedophile. It's like, not only that, it's like, he got Dash. Dash is a guy who does a pretty good Natsuki voice. He got him to do the voice of Natsuki. And Natsuki and chill. Oh my gosh, get rid of him. Get rid of him. Like, seriously, like, this is kind of the level of delusion that we're dealing with here. You know, falsely labeling people as pedophiles. I asked him to give, me the proof or whatever. And I read through and I was like, hey, yo, like, I'm not about to cancel Jay over basically pretty flimsy allegations. These pretty much wouldn't hold up in any courtroom. You would get laughed out of the courtroom. So that pretty much ended our only interaction. But then you got the whole Invader 5, or I think his name was Invader 5? I don't know, something, Invader something, I think it was Invader 5. The whole Invader 5 situation, if I'm getting that wrong, I apologize. But that entire situation, the TLDR, it's pretty complicated, but I'll just, summarize it for you right here. Invader 5 was a guy that was kind of having a little bit of a sexual relationship with Emo Quack, the 11-year-old girl. Now, that sounds pretty bad. It was more like, like an online thing. Kind of like what all the pedophiles in this community does, really. Except Poba. He actually went one step further. But that's a story for another time, as I said earlier. But pretty much, he got into like an online relationship with her. Or, it was like asking for pics and stuff like that. Now, the crazy part was the investigation into this dude got so severe that we had like found out his fucking address, what city he lived in, and was ready to, send all this shit over to the police for them to deal with. And they went to this dude and was like, hey, yo, like, we know you've been messaging this 11-year-old girl. Like, you want to fess up right now? It's like, what do you got to say for yourself? Any last words? And he's like, wait, what? She's 11? She's 11? I didn't know that. Oh my gosh. Turns out Invader 5 was 16. That whole time we're thinking like, Invader 5 was this 18-year-old guy that was messaging this 11-year-old. Turns out he was 16. Didn't even know she was 11. She didn't even tell him his age. She didn't tell him her age. Bro, moment. But yeah, that whole like chapter transition that I did for the beginning of this chapter, yeah, that was from one of Emo Quack's videos. Now, like, I mean, that's quite. I mean, it's something you kind of have to see for yourself in full, not just like 6 seconds of it. Just see everything that she like. She absolutely despises half the people in this community. Probably hates my guts now because I bothered to call her out for false pedophilia, false grooming allegations, false pedophile allegations. But hey, it is what it is. I'm already hated by most of the people in this community anyways. Might as well take a couple more with me. Might as well have a couple more hate me. What's harm is that gonna do? It's like, but anyways, ran over. Just wanted to give a bit more context and say, like, if you're thinking of, putting these kids on a pedestal and making them out to be, like, martyrs of Rose or something, yeah, they're not exactly innocent either. But at least they get the excuse to say that, like, hey, they're kids. Like, one's 15, the other's 12. I feel like they'll eventually learn over time to, not do this shit. Rose is in her 20s. Rose is in her 20s and she's pulling this shit. Like, oh my gosh. Unbelievable. And the difference between, like, those kids and Rose, those kids have absolutely no power those kids have absolutely no power and no sway over how the DDMC runs. Rose has basically got the DDMC staff bowing to her whims over the shit that she does. All because she's in VA. Which, as we further progress in this video, you'll come to find out that, being a founding member of VA and being a founding member of Wretched Team, kind of comes with a lot of perks. Like immunity. Yeah, Anyways, now that that's over, I'm gonna go Ronnie McNutt myself. See you in the next chapter. Harem Club lasted just 2 months, making it one of the quickest mods to ever get cancelled, with it coincidentally lasting as long as a certain Kotonoha mod that Rose would also have a part in the downfall of. This would mark the end of the Wretched Team era, not because Rose wasn't a part of Wretched Team, but because Wretched Team as a whole decided to take a step back and 7 months later would officially disband and rebrand to Endev, which Rose is a part of, to make original visual novels. While this would be the end of the Wretched Team era, there is one more mini-drama that I would like to share with you before we continue. On September 24th, 2020, Halle Babako, the creator of Take-Two, would go on to make one of the biggest quote posts in the history of the DDMC. This post just consists of him mocking his critics by portraying them as a bunch of smooth-brained idiots. You can't make this up. While Halle was rightfully clowned for this, our good old friend Rose would emerge from the shadows to bring us one of the greatest comment threads in the history of the DDMC. Just roll it.
She is so black. It's not that she's black, it's that you made her a drug-addicted rapping character, and she's the only black red. Also, dark green on brown does not look good at all, and anyone can tell you that. You can put these facts behind poor spelling to make your critics look stupid, but these are blatantly obvious things anyone with a brain cell to spare can tell you. Your OCs are walking stereotypes. A piggish slobby nerd, and again Tiffany has obvious issues of her own. Also, nice exit music derangement. Go cry more, Halle baby cuck. And those are the only 2 things about her that are even remotely stereotypical, which is why my critics latch onto them. It's easy to form an outside opinion and point fingers when you don't know the whole story, but the people who've actually played my mod and seen their routes can tell that they're great characters. It's like criticizing Yuri for being shy or Natsuki for being a tsundere, even though they have more depth that isn't apparent right away. If you really want to criticize my work, make sure you actually know what you're talking about instead of jumping to conclusions. Halle, how the fuck would we know her character traits if we hadn't played the mod? And yes, they're 2 of her biggest character traits. Whatever else you put in there is irrelevant, because you made a daddy issues weed-smoking rapping black woman as your only black character. If you can't see how that's an issue, then I'm sorry, but yes, Halle, you're a racist. You should know that Tiffany isn't like Natsuki or Yuri. They aren't walking Japanese stereotypes. Stop deflecting your racist views, lol. I would be willing to bet you just heard about her addiction from someone else and jumped to the rest of your conclusion on your own. Do you even know the reason she smokes? If you actually played it, then I don't know how you came away with such a different viewpoint. Tiff's entire route is about how she's mistreated and judged externally, like you're doing now. And it ends with an anti-hate message that you would have to be a complete fool not to see. You say the rest of her character is irrelevant, but that's just ignoring context. I don't mock my critics because I can't take the heat. I mock them because they don't know what they're talking about. You see, Rose, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Take-Two. I may have shoved a toddler in this toilet, but once you see why I did it, you'll see it was the right thing to do. You still made your only black character a weed smoker. Furthermore, weed isn't even an addictive substance, so you can't really pull that either.
You and Halle really are equal clown levels right now.
Actually, under certain circumstances, it can be addictive, and a person in Tiff's situation is at greater risk of becoming so, though it is still rare. Nice bottom line analogy there. It's a really good defense for your shallow argument. At least I'm defending my point instead of demanding I am not racist. Pro tip, for take 3, don't make an Italian man who obsesses over pasta and lost his uncle to the war. If you're so confident in your point, why don't you make your own review, state your arguments, cite examples from the game? Of course, that would require that you actually play the game, so you know what you're talking about, and that's a lot harder than just having an opinion. Do it. Put your money where your mouth is. Then we'll see how I handle real criticism. Jesus Christ. I feel like if I went through the mod and wrote a hard-hitting critical analysis of it, you might just keel over and die. I'd love to. Looking forward to it.
Oh my god, who the hell cares?
Now that I've lined the mood with this circus act, let's move on to the current and most recent arc of the Rose Saga and the beginning of the end. The various artists are a mod team with a very positive reputation among the wider community. In a lot of ways, they're very comparable to Wretched Team. First, in the fact that Rose was an initial member of both teams and had a considerable say in how things were run. Second, they're both well-respected teams. And third, they gave off the illusion of being something that they aren't. VA's motto is one of no egos and no drama, which is one of the most funniest and hypocritical things that I've ever heard, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why. I wasn't sure where to put this next bit, so I'll put it here. Have you ever wondered who was behind the making of Pink Eyes? I imagine that quite a few of you have had that question, and the answer is Rose and Krim. So you have them to thank for that. For roughly the first year and a half of VA's existence, they would keep true to their motto, at least in the public eye. This would all change, and it was all because of the most hated person in the DDMC, Dirt Thief. The Just Kotonoha situation was one of the greatest circus shows in the history of the DDMC, and that's saying something. Now, I've already covered the Just Kotonoha drama in my Dirt Thief video, but it's been some time, so I'll give you a refresher. Dirt Thief, who was 16 during all of this, is an autistic kid that decided to try and make a DDLC mod back in March of 2022 called Just Kotonoha. It was just another one of those after story mods like Moz, but with the most cursed OC in this community, Kotonoha. However, since Dirt Thief was completely incompetent when it came to making a DDLC mod, he would recruit a bunch of members from the community to try and make Just Kotonoha a reality. But due to Dirt Thief's multiple mental breakdowns over the next 3 months, he would become a laughingstock, get banned from the DDMC, and ruin not only his reputation, but the reputation of Just Kotonoha as well. My video on Dirt Thief and this entire saga would be the nail in the coffin for Just Kotonoha, and the mod was officially cancelled shortly after. The situation at first seemed to be very cut and dry. Dirt Thief pissed off his entire team with his antics until there was eventually no one left to work on the project. But what if I told you there was more to this story than meets the eye? While Dirt Thief was the main reason for the downfall of Just Kotonoha, he wasn't the only reason. What I didn't mention back in the Dirt Thief video was who he recruited to help with the mod. Well, Dirt Thief didn't vet anyone he recruited, and so that meant that pretty much anybody in the DDMC hopped on board, including members of VA. Unlike the others who joined who genuinely wanted to help, those who came from VA were there to troll Dirt Thief. VA would raid the Just Kotonoha server pretending to be an army of Quandale Dingles. When trying to find the raid in its full glory, I would come to find out that the entire general chat was wiped prior to April 20th, 2022. However, what is left shows the aftermath of the raid and... well, look who it is. Rose was one of the ones involved with the raid, but would deceive Dirt Thief into thinking that she was there to help him. A few weeks later, Rose would find her reason to hate Dirt Thief and leave the team altogether. The reason being Dirt Thief's suicide baiting. Anyone who has followed the Dirt Thief saga would know that he has made dozens of posts and videos where he has claimed that he's given up on fighting his depression and is going to end it all. Everyone knew that he wasn't in the greatest state of mind and wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but Rose simply didn't care. She would take his unintentional suicide baiting personally, which would lead to everything that happens next. On June 10th, Rose would release a mod under an alias, and the name of that mod would be called Just Kotonoha. Rose would create a 15-minute shitpost mod taking shots at Dirt Thief and release it more than a month after leaving out of pure spite. Kid is an actual retard.
Yeah, he also takes advantage of people, weaponizing false suicide threats and manipulates people, so like, fuck him. Having autism doesn't make you a bad person.
You could call him out on it, but upstaging a whole mod idea just to ridicule him is doing much fair justice.
I wouldn't say I did it for justice. I did it as a funny May poking fun at a dude who causes actual harm.
If that's where all of this ended, then I wouldn't have a problem, but Rose would continue to badger Dirt Thief for months after the Just Kotonoha drama ended.
Like, you know the Rose person, right?
Oh yeah, don't get me started on them.
Yeah, they've actually messaged me on Discord and went on a long rant after I reacted to Matt Walsh's What is a Woman trailer with my father, where they proceeded to call me transphobic, homophobic, and all the shit under the sun.
Hell yeah, join us, Dirt Thief. Bro said the same thing about us.
It's like, okay. Like, and they literally asked in the comments, like, they asked me for my definition of what a woman is. And
so even after all of this time, Rose still holds a hatred for Dirt Thief, which makes this next and final drama that we're gonna go over much, much worse. Well, here we are. This is probably the part of the video that you've been waiting to see. Now, I mentioned in the intro that this doc is full of lies and manipulation, aka Rose's favorite word. And while I did cover this live on the channel, on a stream that you can still watch to this day, I feel like it's necessary to go through it and break down this doc point by point and prove that it wasn't made in good faith, especially since more information has come out since then. Recently, I was in a server where I saw something nobody ever likes to see, a raid. There were a few individuals involved in this, many of them being community nobodies being edgy and spamming for the sake of getting a laugh out of their friends. But then I saw a server link being posted, leading to Savage Central's Discord. Naturally, I joined and checked it out. No, Rose, you weren't just minding your own business in a completely innocent server when the big bad boogeyman Savage Central and his goons came in and spammed shit memes and black men twerking. You had been planning this for a while, and I can prove it. As I mentioned before, Rose has an army of alt accounts that she uses, one of which is called Uwu Yuri Cutie. And before you can claim that this isn't you, Rose, here's you admitting it.
Hey, can I ask a giga favor? So basically, this is an alt I tend to use when stuff like this goes down. So I'm able to contact DDMC, etc. Can I switch to my main and have that be the admin account? Yes! I'll invite you to the server. It's Femsta's Rose.
Now, it would be a shame if you just happened to already be in my server before the raids even happened. That would be a shame, wouldn't it? Well, would you look at that? Rose was in the server and actively participated in it for a full 9 days before the raids. This proves that she wasn't just some innocent bystander who got caught up in all this, but instead was actively looking for dirt. And I think you were looking for dirt on Magma, but once you joined, it was a wet dream come true for you due to what was in it. A server where speech isn't moderated due to me not being able to give a flying fuck, thus making it and everyone in it cancel bait. Nice to see that you just started and you can't help but lie. Firstly, I want to qualify what was said during these raids. It was mostly slurs / words containing slurs, also at everyone pings and invites the Savage Central server, bait so they can further harass individuals upset enough to confront them, and going into DMs of server owners / moderators and members to harass them further. Okay, I just want to start off by saying that I'm not going to try to defend some of the shit that was said and done during the raids, but I am going to tell you exactly what happened. The raids began when I was forced to go into the Fruits Discord server to download the mod. Being pissed that I had to do that just to get the download link, I proposed that we should raid them. Me, Magma, Rip Safari, Burger, Bateman, Get Grubhubbed, and Prophet were the ones involved. It consisting of mostly slurs was not entirely true, as me and Rip Safari were the only two that didn't use a single slur. By saying it was mostly slurs, you're implying that everyone involved was just throwing them around like they were going out of style, which just simply isn't true. It was the other 5 involved that were using them, and specifically Magma, Burger, and Bateman, that were just liberally throwing them around. As far as the claim of spamming invites goes, so they could further harass individuals, that is only half true. While Burger was raiding one of the servers, he found some dude that just happened to start spamming the N-word uncontrollably. FYI, this dude had nothing to do with us. He was already in this server when these guys joined. Here's the following interaction that Rose is talking about. This was the only time that this happened, and it wasn't in every server like Rose was implying. And finally, the claim that we were going into server owners' DMs and harassing them. Again, just like the last point, Burger was the only one who did that. And here's that entire exchange. And might I add that this particular mod was just a complete asshole. The server in question was a DDLC role-playing server where you could submit your own OCs to roleplay with. I actually tried to roleplay by submitting my Soldier Boy OC. And as a matter of fact, I recorded my entire interaction.
Like, I actually have footage of how that encounter went when I went in there. Oh, I'll give this a look. It's like, this is me posting it. And of course, Kurt, before you say anything, hear me out. Soldier Boy is related to DDLC. Ever play Cellular Books Up? It's a great mod. And of course, you know, I'm just waiting. Then I just decide to go and link the mod to him. And of course, yeah, this is from the first server. This is the power tripping Janny, by the way. It's a mod. It's a mod. It's not even canon. And I'm like, then why have OCs in the first place? They're not canon. You want to know what this dude's response is? As you know, I'll just face it. Because you are joke submitting. I already got 2 people for it. He honestly get muted. He didn't even give me it. He didn't even get. Yeah, I just got instantly timed out, and then I got banned. I got banned like 20 seconds later.
The raids began on the 16th of October 2022. No, they began on the 15th of October. Was there any reason to point that out? No, I just felt like being petty. The first server they went after was someone they had been bullying out Savage Sentral's Discord server for some time, Ronan. Nice grammar, by the way. Oh boy. Let's talk about Ronan. Ronan was a guy who quickly roared out his welcome within the server. When he joined the server, he was welcomed with open arms just like everybody else is, but he would soon get into altercations with none other than Burger and Bateman, 2 guys that are the embodiment of 4chan. Ronan would make some smart-ass remark, and those 2 would just call him slurs and send gay black porn. This would go on for what seemed like hours before Ronan just left, although he would return a mere 5 hours later and act like nothing happened. However, at this point, everyone was just starting to get tired of him and would take jabs at him from time to time. He got so insufferable that even I got in on the Ronan sweepstakes and was seriously considering banning him altogether. Ronan at one point would invite his friend to the server to supposedly have his back or something, I don't really know. That being Prophet. Yeah, the same guy that would link Ronan's server was invited by Ronan himself. Prophet would immediately join in on the Ronan bashing, thus causing him to leave a second time. All of this took place over just 4 days. The next day after Ronan left was when Prophet would link to his server and where Magma would post this. At the time, I called this based, and looking back on it, I'm honestly ashamed of it. Looking back through the messages exchanged between Ronan and the others in the server, I admit it definitely crossed the line. My laissez-faire management of the server was what caused a lot of this shit to happen, and allowing this level of degeneracy to just run rampant was definitely too much, and for that, I apologize. I take responsibility for not quelling this a lot sooner, and from this point on, I'm definitely looking to minimize that as much as possible. Their next target was a small server dedicated to Ronnie McNutt, a man who shot himself with a shotgun on Facebook Live. First off, Ronnie McNutt did not game in himself with a shotgun, it was a single-shot rifle. Get your facts straight! And second off, did you even bother to check what the server actually was? It wasn't a server dedicated to the memory of Ronnie McNutt, it was a server dedicated to memeing Ronnie McNutt. And the content that is in that server is worse than what mine ever was, so honestly, this does not help your case at all. You get 2 L's for that one. I'm just gonna skip the rest of the raid section since it'll just be rehashing all of the same talking points. So, moving on. Afterwards, they went back to Ronan as one member decided to get his IP and attempt a denial of service attack. Prophet returns a full 12 hours after the raids and announces he's going to DOS Ronan. But it seems like Rose cropped this one just a tad bit too much. Let's take a look at the rest, shall we?
He can't seem to do anything right. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
Man, this lack of dossing is so intriguing that it managed to wake Rose from her eternal slumber to check in on things. Now, this next section is the slurs, and there's just no defense for that. I guess that's what I get for implementing 0 rules besides don't break the law. And, you know, I humbly take my L for that. But one thing did stand out to me in this section. Not only slurs, but there is also a large amount of baiting, 41% being one that's used a lot by the usual suspects, referring to 41% of trans people attempting at some point in their life. So you're saying that 41% is used a lot, but in your screenshot, it shows only 19 results. And as a matter of fact, 19 seems a bit too high to me. Let's check for ourselves, shall we? 5. There were only 5 actual examples, with 4 of them being by the guy you're actually trying to cancel. I guess 5 is a lot these days, huh? Wait. Dak? You put Dak Hero in this? Dude is literally a member of VA. This proves that you don't care about collateral at all and will do whatever it takes to cancel those you don't like. It's now time to move on to the off-brand Kiwi Farms section, and this is where the doc basically completely falls apart. Rose starts off by giving us the rundown of what Kiwi Farms actually is. Like Kiwi Farms was, and still is, an internet forum created by Joshua Moon with the intention of attacking, hounding, doxing, swatting, and eventually killing individuals who very often fit into the categories of being transgender or having autism, very often both. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. Yes, Rose, I know exactly where you're going with this, but what relevance does this have with anything? When the off-brand Kiwi Farms channel was created, it was created at the peak of the Keffels vs Kiwi Farms drama. Since this was such a hot button issue at the time and we were creating a channel dedicated to investigating people, I thought it would be clever to name it off-brand Kiwi Farms, aka like the generic Kiwi Farms, the great value Kiwi Farms. You know, as a joke. It wasn't actually meant to try and emulate Kiwi Farms. Occam's razor, Rose. Learn to use it. The channel was made to spy on and harass Yuri Jackson, going back then as Jackson Corley. They started out pretending to be their friend, trying to extract information from them. No, the channel wasn't made to harass Jacquelina. It was made to gather information on her and report her to the proper authorities, as she had made multiple threats of violence against her school, as well as threatened to burn her own house down. We were trying to get her ass into the psych ward, thus giving us a valid reason to try and extract information on her, since to us, Jacquelina was basically a ticking time bomb that could go off at any time, for any reason.
So, after our little spat, I went to bed, and then as soon as I woke up, on a goddamn Monday, the first day of the week, I checked my messages, and what was I greeted by? Well, I was greeted by a message from Yuri Jackson, of him mutilating a rat with his bare teeth, and pulling one of the legs off it. I can't show this video on YouTube, so I'll just put some of the audio here. So, enjoy, I guess. This isn't for the faint of heart, but I need you all to grasp the sheer insanity of what's going on.
Guys, the only way you're seeing this video is on Discord or some other site, because this video cannot be seen on YouTube, because it'll be taken down ASAP. You wanna know why? Look at what I did to this mouse. Hey guys, I'm on a mouse that only has three feet and no tail. His eyes were gouged out as well too, by the way. Let's make that 2 feet. I wonder if I'll ever see this on some gore site to where people get killed and all. I actually wonder if I'll ever see myself on one of those sites. I got some rat hair in my mouth. Or mouth hair, whatever the fuck you want to call it. A perfectly skinned mouse. I'm gonna go leave this to rot for a little bit. See that? Or I'll make another video to where I use a hammer and smash this body into mush. So yeah. To anyone who gets to see this video, if you get disturbed by this video, I don't give a fuck in the slightest. And I hope you enjoyed me and my rat experiment. So yeah. Not bad, actually. Not bad at all.
Oh, also, according to this Discord message, he ate the inside of the rat that he killed, which is oh so lovely.
The use of the word lolcow here is especially concerning, as lolcow is the term given to victims of Kiwi Farms' relentless bullying campaigns. The word lolcow isn't exclusive to just Kiwi Farms or Kiwi Farms users. Lolcow was first coined back in 2007 on Encyclopedia Dramatica, a full 5 years before Kiwi Farms was even launched. A lolcow is just a person who constantly makes a fool out of themselves and never learns from their mistakes. I've never used Kiwi Farms or any site like that for that matter, therefore making any point relating to it moot. After this, they decided to try to manipulate Yuri Jackson into friending, DMing, and ultimately causing drama with another YouTube content creator, Dirt Thief. Did you even look over any of this before publishing? Because the screenshot you show completely contradicts your entire claim. All this shows is that someone from the server DM'd Dirt Thief and told him about Jacquelina and gave him her Discord ID. Where's the manipulation at? I genuinely don't see it anywhere. And here is them deciding to not make it publicly known. Wait, is this supposed to be a knock against us? Because this does the exact opposite. This shows that we weren't trying to dox Jacquelina and that we were trying to keep everything that we found contained in the server. And then they started the dox. This has to be the worst example of a dox that I've ever seen. The word that's censored out here is McDonald's. because McDonald's is the key to finding out where Jacquelina is. Which all this proves is that Jacquelina lives in society and not in the African rainforest. This is just meant to fool those who didn't bother looking into this, that we had found her hometown or something, when in reality, we never found out. And after a while realized that most likely nothing was going to come from her threats, and moved on entirely. Also, by the way, didn't you say that earlier that we were going to keep all this information contained within the server? I mean, in hindsight, the word doxed was so misused by everyone involved that it isn't even funny. The word doxed to us was basically used meaning to find personal information on someone, when in reality, the word dox means to distribute that said private information publicly. Keep in mind that we had literally already agreed to keep everything contained within the server. So which one is it, Rose? Are we trying to do a private investigation into Jacquelina, or are we trying to dox all of her private information publicly? Because you managed to immediately contradict yourself. After Jackson had another outburst, this was a frequent event and nobody in the server took it any seriously, Magma presented the idea of finding where he lived and swatting him and trying to get him taken from his parents. Can you provide any proof that no one in the server took any of her outbursts seriously? No? Oh, okay. Honestly, anything involving Magma is just not worth addressing. We get it, Magma is everything under the sun and we don't need to rehash it. But speaking from experience, that was probably the most that Magma ever cared about Jacquelina, and he specifically said, called the cops. The SWAT team only ever gets deployed during an active situation, such as an active shooter or someone being held hostage. I'ma give Magma the benefit of the doubt on this one and say that he wasn't trying to SWAT Jacquelina. Some users were late to the conversation, but were equally eager to see Savage Sentral rip into Jackson to the point of humiliating him off the internet. I don't know if you just don't know who Jacquelina is, or you do and you refuse to acknowledge it because it would completely destroy this argument. Jacquelina is incapable of being humiliated because she literally is incapable of feeling shame. And not only that, she literally doesn't care or have empathy for anybody else on this planet except her own mother. As I said before, my intentions were to get her into the mental hospital, therefore making this point moot. Side tangent here, it seems they had already found Dirt Thief's address and phone number. Your own screenshot you provide literally says how we got that information. Dirt Thief leaked his mother's phone number in a video he made reacting to my How Dirt Thief Can Fix His Reputation video because for some reason he records his reactions to videos on his phone. His mother called 20 minutes in and he didn't edit it out, of course, and leaked it as a result. You want to know who was the one that told him to take the video down? That's right, me! I can't help it that Magma was able to get this info in the hour that the video was up. Not only that, he said the name of his town on multiple occasions and the school he goes to. Dirt Thief has done a better job of doxing himself than anybody else ever could. Some others joined at this time, wanting in on the abuse of these people who everyone could clearly see were not of sound mind enough to even really know what's happening. Jacquelina not being of sound mind is entirely correct and the reason for everything that was stated above. But to say that Dirt Thief isn't of sound mind is honestly an insult to him and a complete lie. Dirt Thief is a moron, not delusional. They found the country he lived in and even got a vague timeline of the events of their life. Modve was someone who reached out to me in my YouTube comments saying that he had talked to Jacquelina and had information on her. This was sent on September 4th and he would DM me that same day. We had started investigating Jacquelina on August 30th and the Kiwi Farms channel was created that same day. When Modve DM'd me, I told him that we were already looking into Jacquelina and I told him to join the server and post any information he had in the thread. He would join a day later and post what was shown in the doc. He had gathered this info through months of talking to Jacquelina and decided to share it with us. Which, by the way, if you were so concerned with us doxing Jacquelina, then why did you link the source code of the off-brand Kiwi Farms channel at the bottom of the doc? Isn't that more close to doxing than what we were doing since you've presented that this information exists and then proceed to provide a way to access this information uncensored without having to join the server in the first place? Rose, you made the information public when we had already vowed to keep everything we found contained in the server, therefore doxing her. Yet we're the doxers here, right? But this wasn't a concern. They were too busy figuring out how to ruin them further. No one was agreeing with Magma here. The screenshot you provide disproves your claim. Even Zero was getting in on trying to grab their IP, knowing full well Magma, Savage, etc. were looking to cause irreparable harm. Now you're trying to assassinate Zero's character. Remember when I said that Rose didn't care about collateral? Well, here's another example of it. This was at the height of the Jacquelina scare and everyone was trying to stop something terrible from potentially happening. Zero shared the same goal we did, and that was to get Jacquelina some help and try to stop a possible tragedy. But we can't get her help if we don't know where she lives. And can you prove that we were trying to cause irreparable harm? Because everything that's been presented, it looks to be the exact opposite. Morality wasn't even a consideration in ruining the life of someone who, in months of doing the same content, hadn't hurt a single person and was clearly mentally ill to the point of severe delusion. Jacquelina hasn't hurt anybody, you say. Are you sure about that?
So, you remember earlier I mentioned about them poisoning people in the drink shop? Well, there was a video of them actually doing the poisoning of the people, not just preparing the water, but them putting it in people's drinks when they weren't looking.
They even narrowed down where he lives. No, we didn't. This was just a pure guess and was never able to actually find out where she lived. And since you didn't censor out the word province, you just told everyone that she resides in Canada, which was what you censored from Motface's post. Congratulations. The next points are just Magma being a degenerate. I already said that I don't support nor agree with what he said, nor do I agree with what was said here. The docs ultimately went nowhere until one of the members managed to convince Jackson into doing an interview. So this entire section of the doc was for absolutely nothing. And how is doing an interview with Jacquelina a bad thing? Of late, this channel has been used specifically to spy on, hound, harass, and lately tried to dox a DDLC fan called Jackson, or as they call them, Yuri Jackson. This individual seems to suffer from some form of identity disorder and has a history of self-harm and social isolation. Before them, it was Dirt Thief, someone who clearly suffers from some form of mental issues. This is just recapping what Rose has already stated, but it still baffles me how all of a sudden she can run defense for Dirt Thief when she still disdains him. And I don't think it's because she had a change of heart, because she's still going after him to this day. You just wanted to weaponize Dirt Thief against me for me doing the exact same thing that you did. The only difference between us is that you're the one that hates him, Rose, not me. You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite and a liar whose morals are completely dictated by whoever you just so happen to hate that week. You don't mind bullying Dirt Thief and stealing his mod from him, but all of a sudden, once you go after Magma, all of a sudden you care so deeply for him. You would help in the cancellation of Logic Soul, but when I made my video on him that proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was a pedophile, you had this to say.
Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here! Fuck you!
You were actually funked for saying this, but because I was the one who made the video, and you had to go up against everything that I said and did, you just had to defend a fucking pedophile. And then turn around and say, oh, that video wasn't good enough because I didn't talk about some completely irrelevant bullshit that had nothing to do with Caleb being a pedophile. You make me fucking sick, Rose. The DRM section can basically be summarized as Person X doesn't like how a gay relationship is portrayed in a TV show, therefore Person X is homophobic. And also, Person Y doesn't believe that prepubescent children should be put on puberty blockers, therefore, Person Y must be transphobic. Don't believe me? See for yourself. Oh, but it gets even better. I'm gonna show you 2 screenshots, and I want you to spot the bigotry.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
I bet you weren't able to spot it anywhere. Now let's take a look at how Rose portrays this. The image just above this contained a gay sex scene between two lesbians in a graphic novel memoir. The members of Mazda were positioning it as a children's book. They continue, however, to ignore the fact that this isn't a child's book and instead declare they want to genocide all pedophiles, which here is just another word for LGBT people. Okay, so let's break this down. Someone sent in the TRM server an image of a lesbian sex scene in a graphic novel. Everyone then freaked out about it because they thought it was a children's book. Magma would then say genocide all pedophiles because only a pedophile would put something like this in a book that they thought was targeted to children. Rose would take this and say that A, they knew it wasn't a children's book, B, decided to ignore it. Also, they could say that LGBT people are pedos and should be eradicated. That's a leap in logic so far that it clears the Pacific Ocean. But it's not even true. The book in question was called Genderqueer, and it had a scene with two dudes having sex, with one of them getting that Gaga Twist 9000 completely uncensored. The genocidal pedophiles line was in reference to the fact that this book was at one point being considered to be added into some school libraries. This isn't some bigoted rant about how LGBT people are pedophiles like Rose portrays. Again, Occam's razor, Rose. Learn to use it. And finally, we move on to the aftermath section, which was added after my live stream, but really doesn't add too much of value. But there are 2 points that I would like to go over. Then the member of Savage's server found out, almost immediately they moved again to doxing. No, we didn't. You're just a fucking idiot, Rose. If you recall, the screenshots used in the off-brand Kiwi Farm section, you may have noticed that the dates weren't censored. That's how Burger came to that conclusion. Hoopla pointed out to him that the day-month-year dating format applies to everywhere that's not America. This was just a shot in the dark, essentially, and it just happened to be mostly correct. The author calling this doxing basically proved that whoever wrote this was located in the UK. Congratulations, Rose, you played yourself. Lastly, there's the Jacqueline controversy. Rose basically claims that I bullied and cornered her into changing her name. As we've established, Jacqueline is not the type of person to be forced into doing anything that she doesn't want to do because she doesn't even care about herself, much less the opinions of other people. But for clarity's sake, let's take a look at that interaction in its entirety. But keep in mind that Jacqueline's channel has been deleted, so you won't be able to see her comments. In case you don't know, this channel was made to literally look into Jackson. I know he's here, I know he can hear me, and I'm not gonna get him out of here. I want him to hear everything. He's gonna know the truth. We create the channel specifically to look into him because he was telling people to cut himself. He is still telling people to cut themselves. He was making threats against schools. You know, bang, bang, shooty, shooty. So yes, we were going to look into him, and we were going to do whatever it took to stop him. Because we legitimately... Oh, fuck off! I will say this. If you want to be a woman, look like a woman. I will say that much. Until you look the part, until you change your name, at least change your name. For fuck's sake. Change your name. Make it like, I don't know, fucking... I'm trying to think of a good, like, female version of Jackson. But I can't think of it off the top of my head. But whatever. She, since I can respect pronouns, we looked into her, yada yada. Because she was making threats. But anyways, before I just, fucking lose my shit, let's see what this has to say. Alright, this site, off-brand Kiwi Farms. Some context may be needed to understand why this is a shocking and disgusting channel to proudly display on your server. You're gonna notice something very apparent about this doc. They take everything that we say and do 100% seriously. when you look at the name Off-Brand Kiwi Farms, do you think that's a serious name? Do you think that I was like, yeah, this, I really want this to be exactly like Kiwi Farms, but different. So, we're gonna literally make this like the second coming of Kiwi Farms. I'm like, alright, Jackson, we'll call you Jackalina. There we go. We finally got your new name. There we go. That is gonna be a lot easier to remember. Because if I'm calling you Jackson, Jackson's a guy's name, I'm naturally just gonna call you a he. So Jackalina, she, her. Got it, gotta implant it into my brain. The worst you could get me on is that I was a bit of an asshole. But nowhere was she forced to do literally anything. I mean, she willingly chose to be in the live stream. The only person even being transphobic in that chat was Durga Suchi, who is a very notorious clout chaser and attention whore, and has been exposed for having CP. Jackalina didn't have to pick any name or listen to anybody, but she said that the name Jackalina was fine, and, well, that's all there was to it. Well, there it is. The Savage Sentral doc in its entirety. Now that we've established just how many lies and how much manipulation is in this document, let's take a look at the fallout. The first thing we set out to do was to find out who made the doc in the first place. And yes, I said we because I wasn't the only person affected by this. There were dozens of people caught in the crossfire of this. So me and everyone else looking into this began our search, and our first piece of information linking this to Rose was in the doc itself. In the aftermath section, Jay Killen is called out directly for calling all of this nonsense, which it is, but something is a bit off. Look at how Jay's name is spelt. It's spelt Jay Quillen, with a U. There is only one person that has a history of spelling Jay's name like that, and guess who it is? That's right, it's motherfucking Rose. I know that ain't enough to prove that it's Rose, but how about a direct confession?
Send him my condolences if you end up DMing him. Probably doesn't mean much, but I honest to God didn't want the team to disband.
Now that would be enough to say that she was the one behind it, since she literally declared her intentions weren't for TRM to disband, but I'm feeling extra spicy tonight, so how about another confession?
I wanted to talk to them. I was so ready to cancel them, expose them, and get my DDMC puppets to ban them.
This one is quite damning, not to Rose, but to the DDMC staff, if she's so willing to blatantly boast that they are her puppets that are doing her bidding. And before you say that this isn't Rose, here's a screenshot that directly proves it is. So Rose 100% made this doc. While there were others that were suspected to have played a part in the making of this doc, no one else was able to be linked to it. But Rose was able to be nailed without a shadow of a doubt. Now, this is a major issue. You may be asking, why is that? Well, it's because that Rose has been banned from the DDMC. Now, I've asked around and no one seems to really know the answer as to why she was banned, but it probably has something to do with one of the many other dramas that I've discussed in this video. But that's just my theory. So if Rose has been banned from the community since at least 2021, then why was she able to even post this in the first place? Well, there are two reasons. The first being her army of alt accounts. Throughout the video, we've seen Rose use at least 7 different separate accounts across multiple different platforms, including Discord, Reddit, and even YouTube. This is how she circumvents bans, specifically on the subreddit, since Reddit does an IP ban, unlike Discord. But this is just a part of a much larger issue and the main reason behind all of this. And that's that the DDMC mod staff is corrupted. I know that's a very bold claim to make, but I wouldn't be making it if there wasn't any validity to it. Rose and VA have been getting preferential treatment from the staff. Jay would reach out to Braithen, one of the two heads of the DDMC, the other being Wise, expressing that something had to be done about Rose, who actively targeted him. This is what Bray had to say to Jay. Hello Braithen, I'm Jay, one of the people that was mentioned in that document that's been going around DDMC. I came here because I have something I want to say. I thought it would be good to say it to you because I've seen you being active in addressing the situation, so that shows you cared enough to be involved. I feel really uncomfortable with my name and everything being dragged into the whole thing like that. It was stressful. When I joined this community 2 years ago, I never thought I would find myself here. When me and the other guys at Team Red Monster found out about the doct, we were horrified. Especially my close friends Xavier and some dude named Ayat. I've never seen both of them so destroyed over this. I was really concerned for them and their mental health. When we found out the person who made this was Rose, that scared us even more than we already were. Rose is someone that me, Xavier, and Ayat have had negative experience with in the past. Rose has caused drama with my community and has tried to antagonize me prior to the current situation. The same also applies to my friend and teammate Xavier. It was bad enough Rose tried to antagonize us in the past, but now to come after us with such malicious intent? The worst part is, I don't even believe this is the last time Rose will try something like this. It makes me scared to even remain in this community when someone is out to get me and my friends. All I wanted to do was meet people, make cool content, and enjoy something with other like-minded people. I don't even know if I can do that anymore if Rose won't leave me and the others alone. I beg of you and the other moderators of DDMC to hear our pleas and a call to know how badly we are shaken up by this. Please, Brathen, I don't know what else to do. We just want a chance to express our concern. Rose is banned? Her ults are banned. The document only circumstantially referenced you, Ayat, and Xavier. TRM was permitted to post a response publicly in DDMC. What more could you want? So, literally nothing. Keep this in mind for later. Xavier would also reach out to Master Luma, one of the staffers, for help, but would just be told to go talk to Weiss. We don't know how that combo went down, but I'm assuming there was absolutely no help since nothing happened. Why would Xavier bring up that she's in VA? Well, Rose is a head artist in VA, which is basically like being on the board of directors for a company. She has considerable influence in what is the biggest and most popular mod team in the entire community by far. If Rose is banned, then why is she allowed to still participate in and even make content for the community that banned her? It's all because of VA. VA is responsible for more mods being released than any other group combined. About 31% of the mods made in 2022 were made by them, as a matter of fact. They are a powerhouse and the mods know this. They know about Rose's antics because they've been here even longer than her and have been involved in it. Remember way back to when Rose first started shit with Ultra and she was gonna make that call out post? Ultra was the one to tip off the mods to what she was doing and they acted accordingly. They've known who Rose is for years now, but yet let her continue to linger around in the shadows behind whatever team she's a part of, whether it's Wretched Team or VA, because those teams were and still are too valuable to the DDMC. Actually, you know what would be a funny meme before finishing this video off? Hold on. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. See, I just need to rant about Doki Doki Within real quick before we get through the rest of this. Before we talk about Bray and Weiss and all them. Oh yeah, this mod right here. Oh yeah, you can see the shadow here. But this mod right here, it actually sucks. It's one of the worst things that I've ever played in my entire life. Especially if you're going to play the Within Gently drinking game, which you will definitely keel over and die before Act 2. I even counted it. The word gently is said about 134 times in a total of about 20 hours. Which, why would anyone make a mod that's 20 hours? I genuinely don't know. Why is Monica put on such a high pedestal by everybody and expected to be literally fucking Jesus incarnate into an anime waifu? I don't know. It is what it is. I don't know what type of crack this dude was smoking when he was making this mod, but you know what? It is what it is. Within sucks. I don't know how about 3,000 people sat down, downloaded this, because, you know, my playthrough of it should have been enough to say, like, hey, look, this mod actually sucks. Not only that, it has Kotonoha. Kotonoha is statistically kills any mod that she's ever appeared in, especially just Kotonoha, as we've seen in this video already. But, hey, it is what it is. Within is a bad mod, but for some reason, a lot of people think it's good. Even though, you know, you're just wrong. If you think that this mod is good, you're just wrong, and you should go get chemically castrated and lobotomized. I'll even send you on a special train trip to a special little, you know, camp that certain people in World War II got to go to. I don't know, they got very nice saunas in there, I heard. But anyways, within rant over, I'm gonna keep this in the background, so fuck you. Raven and Weiss could easily give VA an ultimatum to either get rid of Rose or have all their mods removed. I mean, they're at the top of the chain of command. They literally have no one to look up to. Everybody goes to them. Raven and Weiss could literally give VA an ultimatum right now and tell them either Rose gets removed or all their mods get removed. It's as simple as that. They're at the top of the chain of command. They have no one to look up to. Everybody looks up to them. So for them to sit back and do absolutely nothing is absurd, while VA basically flops their cocks on the table and asserts their dominance over the mods and can basically get them to do whatever they want. Bray had this to say when he was confronted about taking action against VA for their role in all of this. She's on a mod team that for all intents and purposes seem completely uninvolved. You do not have a compelling argument that Rose, JP, nor anyone else intentionally tried to undermine TRM in comparison to the probable explanation of an overzealous application of vigilantism, which Rose in particular is known for. There is zero evidence that VA is directly involved in this document whatsoever. It is not fair for you to judge VA based on the supposed actions of Rose. But what about the confession in front of VA? Did they just miss that? Because if so, that would show an incredible level of confidence to miss a piece of evidence that crucial. But that wouldn't even matter anyway, because Rose is essentially a criminal in the DDMC, and VA not only allowing her on the team is damning enough, but the fact that she has a position of power in VA as being a head artist and a founding member. There's no way that VA wouldn't have known about what Rose was doing even without the blatant confession in front of them, because of her track record of overzealous application of vigilantism that anyone that does any bit of digging could see clear as day. As a result, the mod should be taking any action against VA for essentially allowing a gateway for a known troublemaker to continue causing trouble for said community that she's banned in. However, there was one mod that tried to see that Rose and VA got punished for what they've been doing, and that was Law. Law was a part of TRM at the time the doc was dropped, and as a result was determined to get to the bottom of who made it and bring them to justice. He would suspect Rose and start investigating. He would bring his findings to the rest of the staff, and this is how it went down. Okay, so showing that Rose was taking the piss throughout the whole situation by posting one screenshot of her in a conversation about, well, this could be about anything really. It's joking around for all of 1 minute, and it's the kind of out of context evidence that we're complaining about earlier. Same with the thing about Tiffany, which even the document states is a bit of a stretch. The only real evidence of anything regarding Rose here is her admitting to making the meme mod, which we already knew came from VA anyways. The section on page 5 with Magma and JP illustrates a greater point here. Evidence of Magma belittling JP and assuming that JP is plotting against Magma as a result is not the same evidence of JP plotting against Magma because Magma belittled him. It's possible that it was the case, but trying to tie Rose, JP, and Abyssal into this entirely on anecdotal evidence is not, practically without any doubt, the truth, especially if you don't have any statements of them actually saying they're going to be plotting or whatever. Like, the YouTube comment actually makes it sound to me like she isn't the one who put the document against Savage together. I wasn't mistaken after all, reads as she thought she was mistaken about Savage at one point, which could be read as she decided not to pursue that case, someone else did, and then she saw it here. Of course, it could also be viewed differently, but that's the point. Uncontextualized statements like these that are capable of being taken different ways without greater context is not something we can base decisions on responsibly. It's also why I don't condone her methods, because that's what she frequently does. I mean, I gotta go deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole to uncover as much truth as possible. As I said yesterday, all evidence would continue to be anecdotal and circumstantial unless someone outright admits guilt, which we all know isn't happening unless they're cornered. Literally all we can do is use what we have and logic. Sure, and there's nothing wrong with investigating thoroughly. I'm just pointing out that the information you have given has some issues with the way it presents its conclusions. I mean, I don't know what else to do. The correlations are all right there. Yes, I get it, reasonable doubt and all, but even if 86% of the correlations are true, that's still pretty strong. Assuming you have convincing evidence, which you don't yet, what would you have us do? Rose is and has been banned here for ages. We banned all of her alts that we are aware of. She's on a mod team that, for all intents and purposes, seem completely uninvolved. Would it be out of the question to subpoena all communications between the suspects in question? This is a modding community. We aren't equipped to deal with legal action. The only thing we need to do is enforce the existing rules. I don't know what history you had with Rose or any other person involved, but this is being pushed a bit too far. Not every time are we going to be able to solve what happened, or bring justice, or however you want to phrase it. And as Bray said, even if it turns out Rose is the one who started it, we can't do anything. It's outside of our jurisdictions. We know, yeah, then what? Ban them from a community that they're already banned from? We're here to keep peace in this community, DDMC. While we are and frankly the modding community, we can't enforce everything that happens under the umbrella of other modders. We can enforce things under this community, yes, but just because the drama happens to involve people who mod the game doesn't mean it falls under here, nor does it mean that we can actually take action or do anything about it. It sucks because, well, they're assholes and we know this, but there's logically nothing we can do about this even if it gets proved, especially if it's someone who's already been banned from this community. But then by that logic, why was there even a massive hoopla about the Magma Sentral drama considering that this was outside of the DDMC? Some things I understand, but others I don't, and no offense, comes off as a bit hypocritical. I'm fighting this hard right now because I care about the community, both inside and outside. I don't want it to go up in flames just because of some petty shit. There was a massive hoopla about trying to keep things calm after a bunch of public postings were made and the chat blew up about it. Magma was still in the community at the time, so we also needed to figure out what was really going on to see if they needed to be banned. To put this forward, say we find 100% that Rose made the doc. Then what? We can't ban them from a community they've already been removed from. We also can't take out an entire team or force anyone to remove Rose from their projects because that's highly unfair to punish a team for one person's actions. Honestly, in my opinion, the concern right now should not be trying to tell exactly who wrote the document. It's to make sure that no one ends up getting dragged into it that shouldn't be, and to make sure that any lies that come out don't end up hurting anyone. Yes, I agree about minimalizing collateral as well, but say we get rid of the point of origin, which hypothetically we say Rose. If we somehow get rid of her and hold the heads of VA accountable for condoning Rose's behavior, that would already make things much better. We don't have to wipe out the entirety of VA, but technically they are a part of the DDMC. We can at least hold them accountable. Don't quote me though, I could be wrong. Do we even know if VA is aware of what Rose is doing? If they are the person that started this, it wouldn't be the first time that Rose has gone head done shit without telling her team. This was a while back, but from my memory, when the Wretched Team account got compromised and posted about that meme mod from VA, that was Rose as she had access to it. None of Wretched Team were aware of what happened until a while later. If VA is fully aware of what's happened if they have done this, yeah, that's definitely something to be brought up, but we don't know if that's the case. They should at least be aware that Rose is capable of doing this. VA knows that Rose finished JK and they condoned it. Rose is a banned yet still active member of the DDLC modding community, and VA knows that. Logic outright says that VA should know at least something. Regardless of whether they were aware of this current drama, they're aware of Rose's past actions and condition in DDMC, yet they still keep her around and advocate for her. Thoughts on this? I wanted to get more info, but I got met with non-compliance, as well as impartiality. I'm not really surprised. Had someone come at me like that with that aggression straight at the start, I wouldn't have wanted to answer anything either. If someone doesn't want to talk, they aren't going to talk no matter how much you push it. Rule number 9. Admins and moderators have the final verdict on rules. 9A. We have a zero tolerance policy for disruptive behavior, so please comply if a moderator or admin asks you to stop. Failure to do so will result in a probation or a ban. You aren't asking them to stop anything. They are not being disruptive. At least from what I can see, they just don't want to talk. We don't even know 100% if we are anywhere near on the right track. We just know they got mentioned. Is there even any hard proof JP is withholding important information? I mean hard proof? No logic? No based on previous history? No creating links from other areas? The topic though regarding the screenshots is the fact that JP broke Rules 9, not 9.8. The context of Rule 9 is that it speaks compliance no matter the reason. JP was disrupting moderator investigation, regardless of how aggressive or direct I was being. I'm being serious here. Again, I'm doing this for the community. If you do not understand that, stop giving your opinion. Compliance is not the message it's putting across. That rule, from every time I've seen it, exists as a backup in case someone is repeatedly towing the line in a way they are technically not breaking a rule, but are still not acting okay. If they do not want to talk, they are not required to. You cannot force that matter no matter how much you'd like to, and it's certainly not a bannable offense, nor even something that can be warned. Hell, even in law you have the right to remain silent. If they do not want to talk and they are withholding information, it will eventually come out another way. And if you are doing this for the community, JP is a part of it. He is a part of the community. I understand you can get frustrated with stuff and want them to admit to something to give you an excuse to take action. Logic Soul was my situation of that. I dealt with constant shit from him for close to a year before I became a mod, and even more shit for a while after the fact as well, so I know how it feels. Telling me I don't understand what's going on with this is insulting, and basically straight up accusing me of not caring enough about the community is also not okay at all. Let's take a step back and relax for a while. Nobody should be hostile towards anyone else from staff. That undermines what we are in essence, a team. Rule 9 was written in the spirit of closing loopholes that people would frequently use in argumentation when staff would try to enforce rules that didn't fit the situation perfectly. It in essence means that we have the ability to interpret the rules and apply them as we see fit. Example, people will argue that NSFW doesn't work in a rule because they would watch porn at work, or whatever. We say no, this falls under interpretation of the NSFW rule. As I mentioned earlier, L, you do not have a compelling argument that Rose, JP, or anyone else intentionally tried to undermine TRM in comparison to the probable explanation of a overzealous application of vigilantism, which Rose in particular is known for, much less a possible motive for why they would do so to begin with outside of them not liking individuals on the team. Even if you did, we reached our limits on what we can reasonably do to respond to that behavior. There is zero evidence that VA is directly involved in this document whatsoever. Even if they were, what the document exposes is not in itself something that they were wrong to expose. So in regards to what we were willing to do, what we will do to VA, nothing. If it's not fair to the community and us to judge TRM based on the actions of Magma, it is not fair for you and TRM to judge VA based upon the supposed actions of Rose. Even if we have the ability, the evidence, and the connection to effectively demand DMs of a mod group, it's not something I would be comfortable doing. Rose is and has been banned for her bullshit. Magma and Savage have been banned for their bullshit. TRM and VA have no further involvement in this, and unless a major development happens, it shouldn't need to go any further than this. Bray, after dick-sucking VA, would then put Law on a month-long suspension for daring to try and do anything to VA at all. I want you to use your own brain and determine whether VA could have known about what Rose was doing, because at least to me, I don't see how they couldn't have, given everything that's been presented. For Bray to punish the mod for doing his job, rather than punish the team that's essentially harboring a criminal that is constantly disrupting his community that he manages, is absolutely absurd. Then again, when I think about it, it starts to make a whole lot more sense. Bray is the guy that literally said that a moderator's job is not to moderate. So for him to go out of his way to not do anything is actually par for the course. At least Wise gives a damn and will occasionally do something when he's forced to. But Bray then will fight tooth and nail to absolutely avoid doing anything, and will only do something if he is forced or threatened to. Don't believe me? Well, here's Jay reaching out to Bray after Fit, a member and head artist of VA, decided to make a mod essentially attacking him and Xavier. And you know what? Fuck it! I'm just gonna read the whole thing so that way you understand just how unhinged this actually gets. Hello, Brayton. Rose said that she's the reason you and Weiss have your positions. Is that true? Do you have any more context or additional screenshots? I got my position cause Carl, the original owner, was being forced out due to his grooming of a minor, and then Logo Cos stepped down at the behest of the rest of the team because of his involvement in the situation. As the last remaining admin at the time, the position of owner then defaulted to me. The staff team didn't entirely trust me and requested that I make Hanukkah an admin with essentially equal power to myself to make them feel more comfortable. So in my opinion, what Rose is saying is complete bullshit, but maybe she is trying to argue that she convinced Carl's victim to come forward with the information, thus indirectly giving us the opportunity for our positions. Any other possible explanation would just be entirely untrue. Why did they feel uncomfortable with you being sole admin? Also, I know you said Rose is spouting BS, but Rose also had this to say about you guys. Rose is unhinged, and based on the last screenshots, the puppets she'd be referring to are the both of you. She will literally say anything because she has some sort of narcissistic complex where everything revolves around her. And while the TRM situation was unfortunate, they put us in a shitty situation of being damned if we did, damned if we didn't. Which is why we didn't want to be involved in the first place. What they did was objectively wrong. Rose just presumably used that to force our hand. Although had Xavier not gone and did what he did, TRM wouldn't have dissolved, so you can hardly fault us for that. To be fair, not doing anything has made it far worse, Bray, because Rose and others at VA are using the DDMC as a platform to target the DDMC modding team. Your moderators, Tormuse and Weiss. We've already handled that. How? All the mods are still up. VA has made requested changes for the things that bothered Hanukkah and Tormuse. So, it's bad when a DDMC mod's name is dropped, but not when a community member's name is involved? If you're referring to yourself, please provide evidence that your name was featured anywhere. All I saw were vague references. The entire Lemon mod was about me. It even included an unused exchange with personal info about my relationship to the mod author and the link to Xavier's doc, mentioning me, you, and a lot of other people by name. The Xavier doc link was removed. Everything else is relatively vague and has no named references. So it's okay for VA to harass people as long as their names aren't in the mod. It is a satire mod, not harassment. Brayton, it is targeted harassment. He recreated actual conversations we had in the past. Please provide evidence of that then. I saw that you changed from parody to satire. It is a more appropriate term. It's neither of those two things. Are you saying that my experience is invalid? Please provide evidence of your claims if you want the staff team to take action. I can give you the evidence to back up my claims, but even if I did, what are you going to do about it? Nothing until I get proof that what you are saying is true. That doesn't answer my question. I'm not going to provide you with a guarantee of anything until I've seen your evidence and had time to discuss it with my team. Our current stance is that the mod is vague and clearly intended to be satirical in nature. You contest that it has aspects from a conversation of yours, which may change your stance, but it certainly won't unless we see it. This is Fit himself acknowledging the argument in question the day after it happened, saying he has to tread lightly around me from now on. Additionally, I also have evidence showing some motivation or instances of him purposefully harassing me or being antagonistic about me. I'm not seeing how this ties into the Lemon mod. Have you even played the Lemon mod? I've gone through the entirety of the files, including the entire script, so I haven't played it, but I know everything there is to know about the mod itself. So you know what the plot is about? And who represents who? I believe so, yes. Rather than this roundabout, you don't know what you're talking about that you're trying to do now. Please just explain how you believe your evidence connects. I feel like you're insulting me, and I don't appreciate that.
Nor do I when you do the same to me. So please explain the connection.
Aside from the screenshot I gave that showed the Monica argument in the Lemon Mod was indeed a real-life argument that happened, I have direct evidence about Fitz's comments of me stealing his art.
Please provide it.
By the way, he also leaked the full Triple Trouble script to all of VA Dev. What more evidence do you need?
This was your claim that is important to the context of the Lemon Mod. You've shown one circumstantial screenshot that suggests an argument happened. It doesn't prove that they created actual conversations. This is ignoring that the references are still incredibly vague and nobody aside from those involved would even understand them. So far, I'm still of the opinion that it falls under satire.
So wait, are you going to ignore the other claim about me stealing Fitz's art, which is in splash.rpy and cavejohnson.rpy, which by the way is a recreated conversation? So it's not ignoring the reference.
You still have yet to provide evidence that these are recreated conversations. I don't doubt that VA has made these accusations or that they don't like you.
How do you get evidence for a VC that happened 6 months ago? Please instruct me on how to get this evidence.
You asked the other involved people to provide testimony.
Isn't testimony anecdotal evidence?
We're not a court of law, but I also just can't take your word for it.
Would you like to have a VC with me and the other people who were there? We can settle this now.
Ask them to DM me,
so you can VC with us right now.
I'm not playing this game with you.
What game? I'm a victim of harassment and you're treating me like garbage. I gave you evidence and you are refusing to acknowledge it or VC.
And you're trying to manipulate me and my team. How? I'm just informing you that this happened. Don't play dumb. You know exactly what you're doing.
Look, man, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I have better things to do than to mess with people because unlike VA, I'm a good person. I wouldn't be talking to you and Wise if this wasn't serious.
If there are other people who were present for this conversation that you're claiming is being recreated who can back up your claim, ask them to DM me.
I asked one of my friends to DM you. Xavier was also there at the time, so you're going to have to accept a friend request for him to hear what he has to say.
You got Xavier in what looks like someone's alt account to back up your claim?
That's his main account.
What are you talking about?
I don't see the correlation on why that's relevant to the conversation.
Based on my 5 years now monitoring this community, it very much looks like a stereotypical alt account to me. Xavier is far from a reliable person.
Why are you making this so difficult to me? Do you just not like me or something? I gave you what you asked for and you're telling me that is not good enough now?
You haven't given me anything that remotely proves what you are claiming. I had hoped you had the conversation with at least someone reputable who I could point and say, why would they lie about this? But so far it's been someone who faked their own suicide to slander my team's image and what I presume is an alt account.
Not an alt account, by the way. If I get Fit to DM you, would that be a reliable source?
Sure!
However, he won't talk to me, so how would that work? How is that feasible?
That's on you to figure out.
Have you even talked to Amigo and Xavier yet? Can you even prove Amigo is an alt? You're just being antagonistic.
I'm not going to talk with Xavier, and Amigo is not a reputable source.
How do you know that? You don't, and your bias towards Xavier has nothing to do with me.
Xavier is a liar. Why would anyone possibly take his word as testimony?
Because he knows VA personally, has worked with him long before this happened, and was there in the VC in question. Not to mention he has worked with me, making my mod that was referenced in the Lemon mod.
None of that changes the fact that any information he provides is unreliable and hence I refuse to entertain him.
He only did that because he cared about the community. Just say you hate the guy and call it a day if you're gonna be like that.
Bullshit. He did that because he was hysterical and wanted to try and manipulate the staff into attacking VA. It's the same angle that you and Law are playing, because you have a vendetta.
What does Law have to do with this? I'm just here talking about me.
Sure you are.
Please provide evidence that I have a vendetta.
You tried multiple times to manipulate me and the team into taking action against VA for the most asinine of things. You did the same thing a few months ago with the TRM Magma situation. It's very transparent. I hope you didn't have the impression that we can't see through what you're trying to do.
What did I ever do to you, Braithen? I was being harassed then and I'm being harassed now. Nothing has changed. I don't understand where all this hate is coming from. There is no hate. We're just tired of this petty fucking drama. We're tired of you, Xavier, Law, and VA all trying to manipulate us into going after the other side because you have some sort of feud with each other. We'd be fucking ecstatic if you could just act like adults and just mod the video game. I'm being an adult by talking to the proper authority on this matter. VA isn't harassing you by making the Lemon mod. Links to their doc has been removed from the mod. If you'd stop giving them the attention they crave, they'd leave you alone. Please explain my leaked script then. Also, the stolen art comments are still on the table. If you deny that, then you're just denying reality. I already conceded that they posted that, but what exactly do you want us to do about it? They did it in a private server, and the person who did both isn't in DDMC. We don't control the entire modding scene, just our community. The modding scene is your community, Brayton. It's in the name, Doki Doki Modding Club. That's already been disproven by people like Poball. DDLC modding can and has existed externally of DDMC. We're the primary community for it, sure, but not the exclusive one, and once again, we can't control what happens outside of our scope. Well, the Lemon mod is on the subreddit, which is the scope of your community. The team instigating it is still in the community. We're not taking down the Lemon mod because it's satire, and there it is. This is what you truly want. The mods they made targeting other moderators is in the community. You can't even maintain the facade that you are just simply being harassed and want it to stop. You want VA and Associates gone. They want you and others gone. Dude, what is your problem? We're not going to act as a conduit for your feud. There is no feud. Yes, they don't like me, but the point is that they are openly targeting people in DDMC. Tormuse, Hanukkah, and myself. It's just you. Stop trying to form a narrative that Tormuse and Hanukkah are victims here. Do you think I don't talk to them? Because I do. I also talked to Weiss, Brayton, and they were targeted before me. Stop treating me like I'm the bad guy. You and VA are both the bad guys here. Just stop trying to go after each other and there wouldn't be any problems. It truly is that simple. They came after me, Brayton. I don't want anything to do with them. You want them removed from the community. I want to be far, far away from them. I want to tend to my YouTube channel and mod. You have consistently gone after them along with Law and Xavier. Even Magma wasn't this childish about it. Stop bringing up people that are not involved in the Lemon mod. I haven't even mentioned them. It doesn't matter if you mention them or not. You three are clearly in league. Again, I don't appreciate you insulting me. Stop that. Please provide evidence of this slander. What? Besides the fact that you just tried to have one of the other two DM me as proof? Excuse me? You asked for that, no? And one wasn't Law. From Xavier? Absolutely not. I wouldn't be surprised if the Amigo account was a Law alt, in all honesty. That's not an accusation or an assumption, by the way. I just wouldn't be surprised. Do not insult my intelligence, Brayton. Prove it. But the same applies to you if you keep trying to do what you're currently trying to do. Because I gave you evidence to show that they have been going after me, so clearly you aren't going to do anything. Again, I'm done with this cynical argumentation. That's how it is. I don't particularly care if you believe me or not, but that is the ultimatum I'm providing you. Is this how you treat every DDMC member that comes to you with a legitimate concern? This is how I treat DDMC members that have repeatedly attempted to manipulate me and my staff team. There hasn't been a repeated attempt. Clearly you just don't care for me at all. I'm sad to see how DDMC moderators treat people in this community. Again, leave VA alone. If they continue to bother you, feel free to DM me again. Can you prove I'm attacking VA, or is me talking to you attacking them? I have made no public mention attacking VA. I don't need to prove anything. This isn't a court of law. I'm not publicly accusing you of anything, nor do I intend to. I'm telling you what my observations are, and what I'm willing to do for you. What have you observed? I genuinely want to know. That you are trying to manipulate me and my staff team into taking action against VA for asinine reasons. How have I manipulated you? Also, how has VA manipulated you?
Here's an easy example of you trying to manipulate me. Look, I think we're done here.
No, that's just me stating how I feel. They've broken rules 11 and 18.
I will leave you with this assurance. If VA continues to bother you, and you stop trying to do what you're doing, I will personally hand out punishment as necessary.
So you want me to stop reporting harassment?
I want you to stop manipulating me!
I'm reporting harassment. Nothing more, nothing less. Believe what you want.
Sure you are. Like I said, we're done here. Feel free to reach out if something else comes up.
After how you've been treating me?
Reach out to someone else on the staff then. That's fine. It'll come back to me regardless. We do discuss things as a team.
They know about everything. They refuse to do anything about it. Bray will sit back and maul and seethe when someone tells him to do anything, and Wise will make a mod coping about the good old days of the DDMC. The crazy part about that mod is that towards the end, this line is dropped. No egos and no drama is the motto of VA, which I said earlier, and is still the funniest part of all of this. If VA has absolutely no control over you, then why did you drop this line out of nowhere? It comes off as a big middle finger to everyone that is trying to hold you and everyone else involved in this accountable. You want my advice, Wise, on how to go back to the good old days of the DDMC? Get rid of the drama. Stop fostering an environment that allows shit like this to fester and get out of control. In other words,
do your job.
As I said, there is no one you have to answer to. You want to complain about drama, but yet you're the one that allowed the Savage Doc to be posted in the first place. No one cared about what was going on because it didn't involve the DDMC. Anyone who knew anything about anything could have looked at that and seen that it was an obvious hit piece. But yet, you're the one that allowed it. You can't complain about drama and then allow shit that would only appear on TMZ. This community has slowly but surely turned into a hellhole, and the management of it has only accelerated its decline. They know that allowing VA to continue doing what they're doing will further destroy and fracture this community, but they refuse to take action. It's all a business at the end of the day, except the currency isn't money, it's mods. VA pumps out more mods than anybody else and is well liked by the casuals that don't know the true nature of those who run it. The mods are at a crossroads. If they have to take action against VA, then content comes to a crawl, and they're likely to anger the general community. If they continue to do nothing, then more pointless drama will happen that'll further deteriorate what's left of a dying community until there's nothing left. What you two decide to do next will directly affect the future of the community that you manage. You know what I'm saying is true, and you know what you have to do. The only question that remains is, will you have the guts to do it? Okay, so as I was recording all of this right here, as you're seeing this, you know, I'm still wearing the same shirt, everything. This is literally as I was finishing up recording all this. I actually got a major update into the whole Rose saga, so I'd like to share that with y'all right here. Also, greatest mod of all time, by the way. You should go play Infinity Penis. Great mod. But anyways, I made this post in my community tab on January 30th and around 1 o'clock in the morning. That simply stated I don't know, something along the lines of, you know, I got very big things coming this month. Stay tuned with a withered rose. So it seems like Rose saw this, and literally the same day, 16 hours later, on January 30th, same day, she would leave VA. She would step down as a head artist of VA. I was absolutely shocked when I saw this, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So I had to add this addendum to the video right here. I was pretty much almost done with the whole recording and everything, but this just came out of nowhere, bro. Call it a blessing in disguise. I don't really know, bro. But anyways, it seems like I got this bitch to quit. I got Rose to quit. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. I didn't even have to post this. I didn't even have to post this video and Rose literally left. Unbelievable. Well, I mean, it's coming out anyways. Rose's reputation is done for. I just figured I'd, add this in here. But anyways, now that that's said, Rose is gone from VA. VA is likely gonna disband within, like, I don't know, next couple of months or something. Well, Fit and Crim both left, and now Rose is the third one to leave. I mean, how many head artists are even still left at this point? I really don't know. But, hey, I don't see much of a future for VA much longer. So, hey, round of a fucking applause. We're smoking that Rip VA pack. We're smoking that Fuck Rose pack. It is what it is. But anyways, back to your regularly scheduled vote program, whatever. Back to your conclusion. As of the writing for the script of this video, a miracle has happened. Rose, under an alt, has been conversing with Dirt Thief, trying to create a further rift between me and him by painting me and my goons as the fucking devil. This Sniper TF2 account has gone around claiming to be the author of the doc on me, and as I've proven, Rose was the one that made it, therefore proving that this was another one of her many alts. After weeks of trying to convince him of this, he would finally see the light after I showed him both of her confessions for the 5th time. Dirt Thief would flame Rose's ass publicly in the server, and it was genuinely the greatest thing I've seen throughout all of this. Dirt Thief finally saw through Rose's manipulation and exposed her publicly to everyone. Seems that Rose's final act of vindictive pettiness came back to bite her in the ass. It all ends here, Rose. The warpath ends here. And as I showed, looks like you've finally got the memo. I'm gonna make sure it ends here too. Not just for you, but for me as well. I fed into the toxic cycle that you created. It's time it all ends here. I tried to save this place in all my futility. Was it worth it? I really don't know anymore. If the last 4 months have taught me anything, it's that there is no happiness here. There never was, and there never will be. The DDMC is a dog-eat-dog world. VA for the longest time were the top dogs. In 1 year of being here, I went from someone who was just optimistic and wanted to play DDLC mods to someone that was a miserable shell of themselves. All in 1 year. And it's about time I get back to my former self. It's time to hang the code up here. And the hat as well. Will Detective Savage ever come back? Probably. I don't know. Am I going anywhere? Absolutely not. But it's about time that I start having fun again. So, it's time for me to ride off into the sunset. Maybe blast something in the orange going down the highway. Now that would be a fitting ending. I don't know if the DDMC will still be around in 2 years. Probably won't be. If I was a betting man, I would say that it wouldn't. Because, at the end of the day, this place thrives on controversy. It's the one thing that's been a constant with this place from the very beginning. And me trying to somehow stop it by making all these videos, it was only furthering said controversy. So it ends here. It all ends here. And with all that being said, as always, until next time. And for Rose, the only thing I have left to say to you is so long and good night.